Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Professor Hassan and you are watching my channel Professor Hassan Hamayu. Insha'Allah, after one day on Sunday 13th March 2022, the paper of Statistical Officer will be conducted by PPSC. In the last lecture, we have discussed very important basic concepts of the topic of sampling, which are important, essential and vital in that written test. And today I will discuss important multiple choice questions for the same topic of sampling. Before starting today's vital lecture, I request everyone subscribe to my channel, like and share my channel, and click the bell icon for the notifications of the next important videos. Let's start. Question number 1 is, sampling is inevitable in the situation A. Blood test of a person. Actually, when you take the blood test for checking, that is the sample. B. Testing of life of dry battery cells, it is also called sampling. You are taking some part of the population. C. When the population is infinite. Yes, when the population is very large and it is uncountable, you take a part of the sample. Actually, we want to examine we want to get the information, the sufficient information about the parameters of the population. We cannot study the whole population. We take its part and we examine its parameters with the help of that sample. It means D is the correct option, all of these. Question number 2, which is an example of existent population? Workers of a company. As I told you in the last lecture, existent means which is existing physically. Number of fans, number of electric bulbs, number of watches, number of shirts, number of beds, number of chairs. These are existing physically. A is workers of a company, number of chairs in a hall, number of teachers in the staff room. D is the correct option, all of these. Number 3, when we study all the units of the population, it is called sampling. Incorrect. Complete enumeration, census. Dear students, when we study all the units of the population, it is called complete enumeration as well as census. Which is an example of hypothetical population? As I told you, just you can assume the results of the experiment. That is the hypothetical population. A. Number of pens in a shop. No, it is existent. B. Real numbers between 0 and 50. Yes, this is the hypothetical population. Number 5, the totality or aggregates of all the units having some common characteristic of interest. It is called statistical population. Whenever you are studying some units which have some common characteristic of interest, and the totality of all that units will be statistical population. Next is, sampling is useful for saving money, saving time, saving energy. Yes, D, all of these is the correct option. Method of complete enumeration is applicable for knowing the population. Yes, it is for knowing the population. Actually, if we want to know the population, we use complete enumeration. It is applicable. 8 is, the population consists of the result of repeated trials is called, that is hypothetical population. Number 9, the numerical values assigned to the units of the interest, these values are the values of the random variable. If you go into the market and you want to purchase oil, sugar, rice, chocolate, toothpaste, there are some values which are assigned to these numerical values. These are the random variable values and its distribution will be population distribution. Next is, sampling is useful for A. Giving sufficient information about the population parameter with the help of the sample. B. Checking the reliability of the estimates of the population parameters. Yes, dear students, these two are the real uses purposes of the sampling. We want to get the estimate of the population parameter. We want to check the reliability of the estimates with the help of the standard error. If the standard error is smaller, then there is much reliability of the estimates which we calculated from the population. Next 11, non-sampling error occurs due to, in the last lecture I didn't discuss, today I tell you sampling error is the difference between the sample statistic and the population parameter. It is x bar minus mu. It is a sample statistic, it is a population parameter. For example, the average height of all the students of the university is 62 inches, but you calculate x bar with the help of a sample of 50 students, that is 65 inches. Then the difference will be 3, that is a sampling error, and that decreases when you increase the sample size. If I take the sample of 100 students, that can be 63, very close to this much. If I take the sample of 200 students, that can be very close to this population parameter. So what did we learn? Sampling error decreases with the help of increasing the sample size, and it is a difference between sample statistic and the population parameter. Whereas non-sampling error is a human error. When you collect the data, when you type the data, when you compile the data, in all these things human error will be the non-sampling error, and non-sampling error cannot be reduced by increasing the sample size. So non-sampling error occurs due to A, wrong collection of data, B, wrong compilation, C, non-response. If someone is not responding you, if you call him, he is not responding. If you are giving the mail questionnaire, he is not filling it, that is called non-response. It means D is the correct option, all of these. Number 12, x bar minus mu is called, it is sampling error. Number 13, when each unit in the population has non-zero probability of being included in the sample, we have simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling. Dear students, when every unit in the population has some non-zero probability of being included in the sample, we have all of these. It can be simple random, it can be stratified, it can be cluster, it can be systematic. Next is the population about which we wish to draw conclusions is called, it is target population, and the population from which we take the sample for drawing conclusion about the population, target population, that is called sampled population. Next is the population consisting of all real numbers is an example of, it is an infinite population. Number 16, the difference between statistic and parameter is called, it is sampling error. 17, sampling frame is the list of all items in the population. Next, first step in the statistical inquiry is A, planning the inquiry, collection of data, forecasting, all of these. It is planning the inquiry. 19, in sample surveys, the population size is a very important one. A, unrestricted, B, not necessarily finite, C, necessarily finite. In sample surveys, the population size must be finite. Next is in sampling theory, the population size is assumed to be finite and known, a very important one. In sampling theory, the population size, we assume that it is finite and known. We know the sample size, the population size. Last question for today's lecture is, selected units of a systematic sample are easily locatable. Dear students, you should comment on today's lecture. Assalamu alaikum.